Hi, good morning. I'm Abhilash, your UPSC Civil Services Examination Mentor, and today I'm going to do the analysis of GS Paper 1. I hope you have seen the essay paper analysis as well. This session is basically for aspirants who have given this year mains or are preparing for mains. Maybe they gave the prelims but try could not qualify, and they they but still continued with the practicing towards main. That is usually done. And I myself, while I have a lot of experience in dealing with one-on-one and personalized mentoring, doing a session like this on online is a little boring single way. But I would like you to, whatever you feel when I do say something around it, if you agree to it, you can put it in a comment and be conversational in the comment chat or through WhatsApp. My details are there in the video. The reason being that I wouldn't say I'm a master on anything on any particular topic, but seeing the trends and various attempts of students at that particular age and that particular exam condition, whatever comes out in your brain, recall factor, and what you express are two different things from what you have practiced in the past. When you are practicing at your home condition, at your environment, which is very agreeable to you, you actually feel like, kitni baar to kiya hai, I've done it many times. I'll just write it, I'll just, move on. But when it comes to exam, you don't have that attitude because suddenly the time, paucity, and so many things goes. An exam has its own uniqueness that UPSC always makes it fair for every attempter that this is a paper which you have not seen before. And nothing new in this paper. This paper itself, in my first view of reading, which I want to share you on the screen. The so in the first view of the reading itself, you know, you can see this is the GS paper 1. It has given the flair of using Harappan architecture, Akbar's religious syncretism. The word is important. Then Chandela art forms. Then in geography side, they're touching to climate change and sea level. It's a very standard. I and it was in news also. Island nation buying places. Then non-farm primary activities. Then ecological and economic benefit of solar energy on tsunamis, and then smart city. Then ethos of civil services and professionalism. Globalization result on aggressive consumer culture. Mahatma Jyotirao Phule's writing and you know subaltern classes. Then trace India's consolidation process during early phase of independence in all these areas. French Revolution has enduring relevance to the contemporary world and geographical expression of oil this thing. Then AI, a question on AI and drone, a question on continent shape and sizes, tectonic moment, distribution and density of population, and how do you account for fast food industries, health, and sustainable growth. So overall, tribal development in India. So overall, the paper had somebody who is reading the newspapers well and is aware about monthly activities which is happening around the globe, consolidating some good wow points would have written a good paper. Okay, and this was almost standardized as much as possible. But yes, there were terminologies, there was very specific knowledge. Especially surprise would be for somebody who have been giving test papers, practice paper, and they focused on all Operation Sindoor and all the thing about defense and all the thing about around that whatever was in the news, making bigger headlines. This was partly towards that, but not exactly towards that. India nation, like that kind of patriotism kind of a story, but it wasn't. The current affair did not catch up much over here. But it was holistic. So my way of looking at today's analysis, you may have a differ of view, but I have a little pattern on which I go, and mm what I usually want to tell you over here is what are doing we doing analysis for? We are doing analysis so that we increase our performance in the attempt and we evaluate our performance what we have already given in this paper. So what I'll do is each question wise I'll decode each question's demand, understanding what is the question's demand, what is UPSC asking. You can gauge by yourself whether you understand the same thing with the wording. Then I provide a little bit structured answer framework. I'm not writing down the answers for you, but a framework, pointers which can come around it in a very structural manner, that is IBC, intro, body, and conclusion. Identifying very key resources which makes the answer relevant, and few high scoring strategies if it exists over there, because not every answer should be written all right. You can add images, you can add draw pictures, you can show maps, so many things are there. And then understanding the pattern of exam a bit, because it's analysis. We'll see 2 3 4 last 4 5 year papers, what how things have been. And something like, for example, you gave the exam today and you're feeling low, that okay, it didn't go as per my thing. Firstly, don't have that kind of a feeling, because it is a majority thing. Always be positive, you have another optional paper with you and the exam is still continuing. So to stay focused on the paper and give your best performance. Your best can always better, but always try to say whatever you learned, let God give you that strength to be in the best performance. Now, the first question was about salient features of Harappan architecture. We know it was a very straightforward question, and it is asking about key architectural characteristics of IVC. And here the keyword is discuss. So it kind of wants you to give an overall picture of whatever you know about Harappan culture, whatever comes in your mind. For example, if the movie was made on Harappan culture and Nichitik Roshan was there, what all they covered inside it. So this is what the world wants to see. So you will see that it will become at the first timeline you have to give what kind of timeline. In the body, you can talk about the various town planning, modern urban drainage system, grid pattern, various public structure which are spoken of. If we can create the map where the entire Harappan thing was there in Sutaka, Jandur to Lothal and all Harappa, all that area you can make. If that you can make, then it will be great. Giving an idea of that, you have a geographical this thing. Then what kind of features the buildings had and whatever drainage, bathroom, how it was urban in nature. And as an architect's way, we have to look at it, a facility of human living, urban living, and that is what is advanced. Why this question? I feel this question, is always about urban planning, and to understand this is the continuation of civilization is from this, and to understand our this thing is a fundamental thing for civil servant. The settlement, to understand settlement. Sources, I found that NCERT class 11 is actually enough. Okay, and previous year questions were examples, but class 11 NCERT is enough for the content of it. Here, if you can actually draw the maps and talk about specific site, because the amount of time you have is only 7 minutes. So you see, this is enough for that. Now, examine the main aspect of Akbar's religious syncretism. Okay, I'll do this thing. I'll remove the running banner below. I am also trying to. This is kind of disturbance, I know. थोड़ी सी branding तो करना पड़ता है, but okay, I'll remove it. So, where was I? Okay, I hope it is. Sorry. The question asks Akbar's religious syncretism. If you are not well versed with this word, it is basically trying to tell you that Akbar took bits of everything from various religion and created its own religion. So, what were the main aspects of, and we are that you have to examine that in that scenario, why did he consider them as important to be part of all the societal upliftment? So, this Akbar's religious policies and their syncretic nature means to identify, explain, and analyze the key features of the factual accuracy. So in the framework, what you have to do is understand how what why Akbar was different. First of all, why did he think that a mixed so religious thing is required in his rule? Then you speak about Dine Ilahi, then the Ibadat Khana, then abolition of taxes, then administrative appointment based on merit than on region, marriage alliance with Rajput family, and translation of Raja religious texts. Now here the story is the way what slips in our brain is we try to kind of picture Akbar the Great. Okay, please be realistic. As a civil servant, please be realistic. Always give context. What was happening in that time, in that medieval era, why this was the need of the hour. He would not have suddenly thought that this is required. There would be some tensions, there would be some tension. All this came as a solution for a peaceful, otherwise, it was always war and war. So you have to talk in that sense as a aspirant. I mean, as a civil service examination student. But when it comes to in a college time and all, it's fine. That's okay. Historians can talk in. You have your opinion. But here we have to see that what in your administrative window, when you see a challenge coming like this, what are the solution you come out with? So these are certain solutions during that time. Yeah, obviously. And the sources, NCERTs and Satish Chandra's Medieval India, and that's enough for it. And if you can actually uh, give an example of before and after of things and how his body of coat was very different, it also adds. But again, I tell you, if you write it again in 10 marks question, 7 minutes, I don't know whether you will be able to complete this much or not. It is very easy to analyze now, but in the exam condition, it doesn't work out always like that. Sorry for the font. Okay. Now the sculptor filled with Chandela art form with resilient vigor and breadth of life. Elucidate. Again a 10 mark question. Now it is focusing on the artistic quality of Chandela sculptures, and especially how it demonstrated vitality and comprehensive representation of life. So when was the Chandela dynasty known for? Actually, it is known for Khajuraho. Okay. And where is Khajuraho? If you remember, if you know where it is, you should give a geographical identification of the location. And then what was the famous? Why it is famous? Firstly is technical excellence, detailed carving and high relief techniques, especially in that era with the tools they had. Thematic diversity, divine, secular, everyday life scenes. Dynamic postures, tribhanga and fluid movement. Emotional expressiveness, facing detailing and navrasas, 9 emotions. Naturalistic representation, human anatomy, animals, flora. Symbolic imagery, integration of spiritual and temporal themes. You kind of have to summarize how that Indian art and culture was at peak during Chandelas. Now, again, NCRT's art and culture is enough for it actually, and you should see some. I don't know how you're reading these days. One way is to obviously read through books. Other is when you see certain documentaries, especially art and culture, travel about to India. India is famous for. So they take you through those areas and show you in video. You should have the visual representation why it is considered great. Why? So we may not have been gone over there, but reading we will not be able to relate all this thing. What is detailed carving, high relief techniques. But when you see the documentary where he focuses on what kind of sculpture is being made and how it is very real to human face, how your nose protrudes, how their nose protrudes. So that kind of gives you that imagination to write it well. Again, 10 marks, 7 minutes, whatever you can fill in over there. The next question is about climate change. How are climate change and the sea level rise affecting the very existence of many island nations? Discuss with example. Again, a 10 marker. The demand of the question is we have to discuss with example that sea level is happening very first of all, and how it is impacting the existence of island nations. So, Fiji came in news for asking for land, and then Australia talking about helping uh, uh, those island nations. Okay, then Kiribati, or I think Kiribati Island nations. Now, the you have to speak about global warming and melting ice caps and rising sea level. Introduction is that you have to give that connection. What is the context? Then, what are the impact of it in body? You talk about land submersion, land will go down, coastal erosion, coastal area of the land will fall off, saltwater intrusion in the whatever living inhabitable places. And case study where you talk about Maldives and disappearing beach, relocated islands, Kiribati, purchased land in Fiji as climate refugees. This is what I was talking. Tuvalu, facing complete submersion by 2050. Socioeconomic impacts, loss of tourism, agriculture, fishing livelihoods, geopolitical concern, maritime boundaries, and sovereign issues. See, this actually requires for a global action, climate justice for vulnerable nations, and adaptation strategies for to be implemented. Now, this question also gives you a very good why this question could have come is because it gives India's picture in the world stage, climate stage, and you as an aspirant or when you become a civil servant, you would be dealing with this on every day-to-day basis, every day, every day. So best way to read is IPCC report about this and news reports actually. Current affairs, yeah, it is there, but I think IPCC report gives a very good picture. And if you can talk about the various conference of parties which has happened related to this in UNFCCC, then you can actually add on to something. But again, 10 marks, 7 second question. You need to give the context why it is there and what it is directly asking. Next question was what are non-farm primary activities? How are these activities related to physiographic features in India? Discuss with suitable example. The focus or the key words over here are non-farm primary activities. Then we have to relate it to the physiographic features in India. Okay. Again, a 10 marker, 7 minutes you have. So, first we have to define non-farm primary activities and then connect it with India's physiography. So, let us see what are the non-farm that comes into your mind. So, that is mining, forestry, fishing, quarrying. Mining and physiography, coal in Damodar Valley, DVC, Gondwana deposits, iron ore in Chhattisgarh, Odisha, Dhar- and fishing and coastal features, marine fishing in Kerala coast, inland fishing in West Bengal, forestry and terrain, timber extraction in Western Ghat, bamboo in northern hills, quarrying and rock formation, marble in Rajasthan, Aravalli, granite in Tamil Nadu. What are the constraints? Accessible issues of mountain villages and water availability in arid zone. You can conclude that how these areas become opportunities as a resource bound area, the physiography, and how people are engaged in these activity for sustainable. Mining is one of the major India's strength and resource, and it employs or it engages huge amount of population. Again, similar status of population, in fact, worse than agriculture. So, in NCERT it gives a good picture. And especially if you, this topic was there in the survey of economic survey of India. So it is like, if you can talk about states, any states which are doing in this area, especially Odisha or Chhattisgarh, because their economy is bound in this. Well, they have farming also, but there is a contribution of state economy from non-farm primary activities as well. The word primary is very important. We need checking your economics basic also. So again, but realistically, 10 marks or 10 markers, 7 minutes. So whatever you can remember and recall. Next question: explain briefly the ecological and economic impact of the solar energy generation in India with suitable example. So this is a straightforward question, and I think you need to know the data of things, and this you have been learning since childhood. And there have been so much big news on solar park and all that thing. So I think that makes it more important. I'm not going into details to this question. Next is, what are tsunamis and how they are formed? What are their consequences? Again, tsunami introduced in NCERT from class 7th onwards, and you can see how you know how great you can write about it, or from its origin background, with the example of 26 December 2004, and what are the reasons. I mean, you have the all the content around it, and how it is triggered, various mechanism formation, especially location where it is prominent, consequence, and example of exactly 2004, the early warning system and coastal planning and all that thing. You can give it a picture over here, and that itself will be rich enough for your this thing. Disaster management also, you have to give a one line at least. What are the consequences around that? Use NDMA as part of it. So, how does smart city in India address the issue of urban poverty and distributive justice? See, this is two terminology. Now, it is talking about smart city in India. There are two issues. Why you need smart city? Is it because of urban poverty and distributive justice? Or smart city will be one that will also give an add-on benefit of issues of tackling the urban poverty and distributive justice. This is a very, very, you know, I would say, difficult question to handle. So what you cannot say smart city will become with a lot of gadgets and this electricity. No, no. Here it is talking about the socio-economic milieu or socio-economic inequalities, how it is going to address that. So you have to see, the first thing is affordability. Then how the area of work, and apart from affordability, what if your area of work is very far, you're not able to even earn so much that you can do up down everything everywhere. So what are the skill set they can have, which they can work from their place or location? Then you have to say on the part of you know a line on part of governance through digital medium, so that corruption is also less or tracked or transparently said. Distributive justice here is like, uh, if imagine smart city requires you to have bank account, awareness of digital India equipment like your smartphone. So you are a part of it. But what if somebody doesn't have all this? What is it? Is it not unfair to them? Are they not the equal part of society? But this is one way of looking at it. Second is, if that is also given to them and they're trained about it, will that include a little more togetherness in the society? Their say will be more prominent. Is that a position which we can speak? So you better look at from that aspect, that it's inclusive to more people having say in the participation in this promotion to smart city. And then, but there will be limitation. It will not be from day one. It starts like that. You have to engage. You have to keep create a situation scenarios where they feel comfortable enough to be in the participative system. What are the governance challenge that will happen with this? And kind of focusing on that. So again, smart city was in news, so you can see what mission status and all. And there have been small things which have come in the picture, like using Bhopal smart card for informal worker, indoors integrated waste management. So you have your own examples across your, there's some Wi-Fi system was built some days back. So many things across India from all the uh, 60 smart cities and million plus cities. So if you it is something near you, very local to you, you can add on to that. But again, 10 marker, 7 minutes, जो भी याद आता है उसमें तो लिखना ही पड़ेगा. The next question is, the ethos of civil services in India stand for combination of professionalism with nationalistic consciousness. Elucidate. Now, again, it's a very straightforward. It is saying the ethos of civil services in India stand for combination of professionalism. आपको इसको elucidate करना है. The meaning of elucidate means with example you have to talk about it. So you can talk about how the services are, the system on which the services stand, the selection on the training, the kind of exposure they get. Professional means what? That way. Then how they're. There was one video when somebody says that ki अमीरों का तो समथिंग है, आपका कौन है घर, इसी someone reporter is asking yeah, tribal woman. So he says collector हमारा है. So that kind of trust they have in a civil servant. So maybe you can add on such things and that'll add. But a very professional way of looking at it is, don't write entirely blue, blue, bureaucracy based, for this thing, but have an illustration of India, have an illustration of how people's governance has been led by civil servants at various level, young civil servants example during the crisis time, how they've come forward, and whatever you can add. And you can add the way, like somebody starting a medical service, being he was a medical background, what became a IS officer or IPS officer. So all that thing you can add in over here and see you have a rich answer as showing the professionalism of the service. And it's a very old service. It's not, when it has reinvented itself at various point. So you can be very proud about the civil services of India. Actually, when it comes to delivering, uh, it's not that just because they're giving the exam, I'm trying to tell this, but Indian civil services has always delivered at every scenario. At the initial era when India was, I'm just not a part of the answer, but I'm just trying to tell you that initial era of when there was a change transition from British to India, ICS to India. See, the first difference was that he from both the India and Pakistan were running through colonial system itself. So there were no new members who went to. They were recruited from Pakistan. From the same place, only people were divided. But yes, Pakistan went through an army kind of a lineage, defense kind army lineage to be very frank, wherein India remained a part of democracy. So the power distribution from the inception of the country itself shows the way the blooming of or blooming of civil services ethos started. And then the when it from ICS it turned into civil services, Indian Administrative or Civil Services of India, you will see there have been examples where the various part of societies, first women officer and so first IPS, all this started at that era. Okay. So that showed the opportunity was not limited to families or opportunity not limited to elites, as was the case in British era. It also showed that light that the services was the catapult to be in the uh, national contributor. If you had the character to yourself, you could catapult yourself to a contributor in nation building. And in fact, the entire 60s and 70s of India had a very bad economy. You know, today we are studying the various phases of India's growth. What do you think delivered then? It was the civil services. That's why it was called or spoken as foreseen as a steel frame of India. So we stand on the efforts and the, you know, unfair. In fact, that time it was more unknown that, it was backroom boys they used to be called, and nobody knew who is doing what. They were never they are like today's era where you people want to get a lot of attention. Civil service was a backroom kind of a thing, and nobody actually the attention was all given to the ministers because they were public servant. They were selected. They were elected, and these civil servants were elected. So, hence, civil service was selected by the exam thing. So, you can realize the kind of contribution and dedication they have gone through. And there are people, there are examples where retired civil servants today also are so strong in their ethos. They take the bus pass and take. They were secretary some time back of this nation, some ministry. They've retired and now they're living a life. They take a bus pass in a normal bus, they move. No hi-fi, no nothing like that. The way we imagine, it is not. So that kind, they come from that kind of ethos. Truth. When Lal Bahadur Shastri ji during the Chinese aggression said that he will reduce his meal by one time so that the nation is able to fight the war, and the entire nation followed. It was not limited to a political statement. Every department, every bureaucracy, everybody participated. So these kind of contribution, if you, I mean, I want you to be proud about it. That's the reason why I'm talking about it. Anyway, coming to the next question: do you think globalization results in only in an aggressive consumer culture? Now, this is again, you have to justify your answer. You have to be very, very observational in your thing, and you have to understand what is your globalization, how it promotes consumerism, and why it is one part of the story, and from the perspective of from the perspective of US, what it is, from the perspective of other nations who are a part of it, how it is. And you have to see the preference of customers and various things. For example, how, service oriented market, and then the today's era of e-commerce and things like that, technology. And there are other impacts like, today you are able to access across the globe elements, and there is a value of knowledge sharing, global cooperation. So how societies are engaging with it, like, China is doing so great that people open up shops over you keeping the Chinese product across the globe. So these are the certain things, and whatever is your feeling, you can add on it. I don't want to give you, but as a neutralistic answer, it is just a one dimensional question, not only on aggressive consumer. It is looking like that, it is not like that. In fact, today we have various methods to be on the market. That's the reason why it looks like it. But it's a phenomenon. The next question. Now we jump to the second part of the paper where it is 250 words, 15 marks a question, and you have 11 to 12 minutes to write about it. And the first question comes from Mahatma Jyotirao Phule's about Mahatma Jyotirao Phule's. His writing and his effort on social reform touched issues of almost all subaltern classes. Now, if you remember your old leaders, you will be very able to write. You can see the Bipin Chandra's book of history of modern India. And he's Jyotiba Phule is always mentioned as, there as somebody social reformer, and especially Satya Shodhak Samaj, Gulamgiri. I know that he actually first girls school in Pune, and widow remarriage, critique of child marriage and female infanticide. He was way beyond. I mean, she was way beyond their. In fact, a movie had come on this, and you if you get a chance to understand how it impacted of that society, don't consider it from the pan India perspective. Try to consider it from the perspective of Pune of that era or Maharashtra of that era. Maharashtra wasn't obviously there because British India. So you see how what all she kind of Jyotirao Phule, Mahatma Jyotirao Phule. So he's a social activist and writer from Mail. He's from Pune, and wife is Savitri Bai Phule, under on whose name the Pune University is named. Now, trace India's consolidation process during early phase of independence in terms of polity, economy, education, and international relations. Now, this is a need. You have the awareness of history of that era, and I'll quickly run through this. I will not go breaking down it. But yes, introduction about your what happened in partition and refugee crisis, and changing from the colonial foundation to democratic institutions, then integration of princely states, Sardar Patel's approach, constitution making, first general election, reorganization of state on linguistic basis. This is the foundation, political era. Economic foundation was planning commission, mixed economic model, then Mahalanobis plan, then industry policy, CDP, community development program, educational wise UGC, establishment IIT aims, and UGC national literacy campaign, various scientific research institute, CSIR, BARC, ISRO, and then international relation wise, the non-alignment policy, the punch seal with China, and then African Nation Conference, Bandung, then handling of Kashmir issue at UN. So you can talk about all this and kind of give very kind of a what to recall of that picture. You have to just trace. That's it. You don't have to be more opinionated. Opinionated nahi hona hai. You have to just trace what happened in that era and how it made the foundation. So if you remember the names of the leader and all that things will be there. The next is French Revolution has enduring relevance to the contemporary world and explain here. Again, a 15 marker question. Here also you have to remember the time when what is the watershed moment 1789 to 1799, and explain or clearly talk about the connection of historical events during that time. What is the political relevance, social relevance, intellectual relevance, and today why it is still considered as the uh, in the contemporary world. This is the question actually. We have to talk about Arab Spring movement, right-based approach to development, constitutional guarantees wherever a constitution is there, and tension between liberty and equality. So wherever the government and politics get mixed up, you will remember French Revolution. So next question is about geographical explanation of the distribution of oil shore, oil reserves of world, and so basically you need a map for it. The moment is something on the world is there, and geographical explanation map to showcase the area where the oils are there, and then you talk about various factors why the oils are there in that area, and then some differences you can talk about when is whatever you remember as per the thing like on the formation, extraction technology, development cost, environmental risk, and geopolitical risk of that particular area. So you have to also summarize or conclude of the offshore reserves represent technological frontier of petroleum industry with increasing importance despite higher cost driven by depletion of easily accessible onshore fields and advance in the deep water drilling technology. So offshore and onshore, you have to be clear on what kind of depository it is. If you have no idea, still you can have an idea from the word itself. Offshore, not near the shore. Onshore, near the shore. Next question is, how are artificial intelligence and drones be effectively used in GIS and RS technology? See, they have not full formed you the GIS. GIS, Geographic and Information System. RS is remote sensing. So you have to understand then and understand how they are using for mapping and how their real time feeds are there, and especially creating all this crop monitoring, precision farming, whatever as mapping and all, is there. You can think, and then the examples of current day GIS model using drones, so many stories, Swabitwa scheme, then data integration, and also creating a regulatory factor for drone pilots and drone license and all that thing. We can talk about that a bit. So this is the current thing activity happening. So yes. Next question is, how the change in shape and size of continent and ocean basins of the planet take place due to tectonic movement in the crustal masses. So very simple, straightforward question. You say about geography, so you have to talk about the boundary, convergent boundary, you have a divergent boundary, and transform boundary. If you remember, again, I'm talking, it is convergent boundary. Two plates come together. Then what happened of different origin? Divergent boundary. Two plates go back or go away from each other. What is going to happen? Two plates slide through each other, their transformation boundary. So what is going to happen over there, and the examples across the globe. That's it. This gives a great straight away picture. It's a full geography core thing. Discuss their distribution and density. A map is there is required in that world map. Discuss the distribution and density of population in Ganga River Basin with reference to land, soil, and water resource. In fact, this is, that this is the most populated fertile area, and we were talking about, and so why, what is the reason, and then you have to talk about the land resource, population, soil, whatever is the area, why it is so fertile, recharge, Ganges flow, tributaries, the basin itself. So how is the temperature, everything you speak about it, how it is conducive to human habitation, like that. It's a standard NCERT question. Again, it is from class 6, 7 only. How do you account for the growing fast food industries given the that there are increased health concern in modern society? Illustrate your answer with the Indian. Illustrate is the word. So you have to give the example of Indian fast food industry. So now it says that from fast food is connected to the health concern in modern society. Okay, whether it is blaming it directly on the fast food for health, we do not know. You have to establish it, or you don't have to establish. But you have to see that why it became, or why it becomes a point of preference. The work culture, the rising disposable incomes, youth demography, and especially the work areas like Bangalore, Pune, Mumbai, where the young professionals work. Again, why are they preferred? Also, aggressive marketing, discounts, app-based system, delivery, convenience, aspirational value, and like changes in the to the Indian palate also, like McDonald's vegetarian, Burger King's vegetarian, Pizza Hut, all that international chain providing Indian solution, Indian adaptation. Similar is also in the case of health-driven element also, like how fast food industry. Uh, so actually, uh, you can also introduce terminology while they have spoken about fast food uh, uh, industry. It is also considered as okay, I don't recall the name right now. It is considered as not ground kitchen, but it is considered as mm, QSR, quick service restaurant. Quick service restaurant. I want, if you can recall it, and QSR. If you can write it over there in the, it shows that you are aware about how the nature of industry they are changing from the word of fast food, which gives it to the health scarcity. Whereas if you say QSR, quick service, now anything coming quick service is also called as fast food. Health is not included. So you can, this is the modern parlance. Health wise, they have changed. There are so many, a preference for healthy items also needs to be, awareness has to be given. You have to give that, tell that what is happening in India, like that. Achieving, next question, achieving sustainable growth with emphasis on environmental protection could come into conflict with poor people's need in the country like India. Now, this is a very standard, like you took a to, I want to burn petrol because I need it now, or should I think of the world? So these are some potential conflict area you have to highlight, that industrial regulation, energy transition, short-term trade-offs, and then how poor health-wise they will be, and the jobs and everything they will be affected. So you can give an example of how what happened in Shimla, the landscape, landslide, and entire populace, making it more commercial tourism place created havoc for local population, and how the multiple landslides have been happening in that zone, in that part of Himalaya. So it needs a community-driven approach, and you have to talk about that and understand short term and long term. Currently, like it is currently, it's the imbalance is fueling the aspiration of India, who wants to earn, and then somebody who wants to save his uh, legacy. धरोहर जिन्हें संभालना है. The last question is, does tribal development in India center around two axes, those of displacement and of rehabilitation? ना यार ये थोड़ी सी हिस्टोरिकल टाइप का कॉन्टेक्स्ट है, आपको डिस्प्लेसमेंट और रिहैबिलिटेशन डायनामिक्स समझना पड़ेगा. You need to understand that. And now your opinion, when you, whatever you give an opinion, it should be backed by a data or a example which is popularly well known. Don't just randomly quote something. Here, whatever you see is coming from the fact that whenever dams were made, whenever the industry areas were made, whenever the EEZ or SEZ were made, or or all these areas, the or mine or the steel plants were made, or mining area were made, the displacement of tribal happened. Now you have to see what has happened since last 70 years. Areas which is might be near to you also, and maybe across the globe, newsmaker areas. Then you see what are the constitutional rights of those people. What are the way we are rehabilitating. What all schemes have been there? If you remember Forest Acts and all that thing, do write them over there. Then you have to see that how much of what is necessary. If if they become refugee kind of a thing in their own country, then it gives to challenge. And if they are also part of those development where they get the benefit of development, then it is upliftment of society. So how we can do that balancing, and according to which area and what it is, you have to give an opinion around it. But yes, the world will always, wherever the development is towards, if they are part of the natural resource where the tribal live, there will always be a conflict of, because resource becomes relevant for development. So you can talk about Narmada Bachao and Andolan, all that thing which has happened over in the past, giving you giving a reference of how things turned out finally. So with this, we ran through all the questions. I know it sounds boring. कोई background music भी नहीं था, कुछ भी नहीं था, and but people, I would if you can skip through the uh, timeline, and you can go to the question, and see for yourself whether it is beneficial for you. With this, I I would like to sign off for the day, and I will come back with the analysis of the GS paper 2. But overall, GS paper 1 could be written well with a relevant. It did not require much of a hard work, but it is your awareness about basic standard things of the syllabus, and value addition, especially the legacial thing. it would work out in your favor. With this, thank you. Hopefully, whatever is your perception about my analysis, you can put it in the comment, and if need be, we can also discuss it in our one of the upcoming session. Please be part of our session. Weekly interaction session happens, and you can register in the description. The program, the weekly interaction is also given, and my GS Foundation plan is also welcomes you. Yes, I do understand you may be looking at answer writing workshops and things like that. Uh, what I can suggest right now is, because obviously mains have not yet completed, let the mains complete, and you be part of my community, and definitely I'll let you be aware when it happens. But currently, what strategically we say that September, October, November is a both mains and prelims focus should be there. So we'll do something around it. But yeah, focusing on prelims will start immediately from October. Okay, then. Thank you so much.